Let's bow real quick. Heavenly Father, thank you for this day that you allowed us to receive. And many blessings you bestow upon us and those that you have in store. God, you're great and greatly to be praised. And it's an honor and a privilege to come into your house of worship and just give you all praise, honor, and glory. Just to say thank you one more time. Lord God, I ask that you be with your people on today, that you speak to them in a direct and special way. And listen to them right where they are, Lord God, for you know what they need far better than I ever could. And just allow the words of my mouth and the meditations of my heart to be acceptable in your sight. Because, Lord, you're my strength and you're my redeemer. And, Lord God, as we continue on in this new year, in 2015, as we continue to walk the path that you have set before us and execute the plans that you have laid before us, let us, Lord God, continue to make all of the necessary preparations, to take all of the necessary steps so that we can prepare for the success that you have in store in our lives. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen. Before you take your seat, turn to your neighbor real quick and say, neighbor, I'm prepared for success. Turn to someone else and say, neighbor, I'm prepared for success. You may take your seat. All right. Yeah. Reach it, man. So, toward the middle part of 2002, summer of 2002, I had a conversation with my father where I believe that he was preparing me for success. The reason why I say that is because there was a time that I had just finished my second semester of my sophomore year at Cornell University. And most of you know that, once you finish your sophomore year, it's time to declare a major. That's right. Shanique, you remember this? We were at Cornell together. And so, I've got to figure out what I'm going to do. Now, this is right after the heels of me having to withdraw for a semester and take a semester off because I was having some challenges at the time. And so now I'm getting into the back into the swing of things. But I'm not quite sure what direction my education or my career headed. So unsure of what my next move is, I did what I normally would do when I have kind of unsure what to do, and I had a discussion with my dad because my dad tends to give sound advice. And so I'm at a crossroads, right? Because originally I was on a biology pre-med track, and I was trying to be a doctor. And then after 2 heavyweight bouts with college chemistry, that kind of beat that dream out of me. And so, come on, man! It is, you know what I'm saying? It happens. Don't look me strange. Y'all have some setbacks. So now I'm trying to figure out what I'm going to do. And so I'm talking with my dad, and I'm sharing him my thoughts and the situation. And so he's like, well, what do you want to do? And I said, well, I want to make sure I have a successful career. I want to make a lot of money. I want to live happily, et cetera, et cetera. And that's when he actually informed me and enlightened me that, well, first of all, you have the wrong perspective, because if all you're trying to do is make a lot of money, first of all, you need to realize you'll never be as happy as you want to be, and you'll never be as successful as you could be if all you're doing is chasing money. And so he actually took this opportunity to give me a paradigm shift and reshape my perspective. And in this conversation, that's why I can say I realized that he was preparing me for success. Because in this conversation, he basically challenged me to do 2 things. The first thing he challenged me to do was to discover my capabilities. Because the first thing he told me is, stop trying to figure out what you want to do for a job. First thing he said. He said, stop trying to figure out what's going to get you the most money. He said, stop trying to figure out what you want to do as a major. He said, break it down to its lowest common denominator. Just figure out what you love to do. Figure out what you're good at. And figure out what you can do and what you're good at that you can do every day for the rest of your life, whether you made money or didn't make money. All right. Yes. That's what he told me to do. He said, if you want to figure out what to do with the rest of your life, he said, figure out what you're good at, what you love to do, that you can do day in and day out, whether you made money or you didn't make money, you can just do it because you enjoy doing it. And so, at the time when he shared this with me, I was thinking about the fact that, I was the treasurer for my fraternity, and I was always, because I was the treasurer, I was always dealing with people and dealing with money. And because I was the president of my organization, I was always having to submit budgets to like boards and the school and stuff like that. So I was always dealing with people and dealing with money. And then I thought about the fact that, you know, I was a little entrepreneur because I had my own little barbershop business when I was in college, keeping change in my pocket. So I was used to dealing with people and dealing with money. So I ultimately realized, well, ultimately what I'm pretty good at, what I like to do is I like dealing with people and dealing with money, right? So I was like, okay, so that's what I like to do. So I discovered that that was my capability. But then the next thing he said caught me for a loop. He said, now, once you've discovered your capabilities, depend on God for your victory. All right. He said, because he said, you got to trust and believe that if all you do is pour every bit of your time, your talents, your treasures, and your energy into that one thing that you are good at, that one thing that you love to do, I promise you, God will be diligent and faithful to see you through and bring you to a successful point. All right. Man. So at that moment, that discussion really transformed my life and transformed my life perspective. Because in discovering my capabilities and realizing I needed to depend on God for my victory, that's when I realized that my dad was transforming my thinking because he wanted to prepare me for success. Amen. Well, I'm here to let you know that because of the great things that God has in store for you, you need to do what Dad did for me, and you need to take the time to prepare yourself for success. And two of the ways that you're going to be able to do this is you first must discover your God-given capabilities. All right. And then secondly, you must depend on God's power, God's potential, and God's presence in your life. Amen. And if you do those two things, I promise you, those will be 2 steps that will begin to prepare you for success. Amen. So that's the question we're going to deal with today. The question we're going to deal with today is simply this. How do you prepare for success? How do you prepare for success? Well, if you will, turn me to a familiar passage of scripture in 1 Samuel chapter 17. And we're going to read about the story of David and Goliath. And here, David shows us how to prepare for success. And if you will, please stand with me for the reading of God's word. Now, because it's a lot of scripture, I'm going to go through it rather quickly because you guys are fairly familiar with the story. But we're going to read verses 20 through 51. Again, of 1 Samuel chapter 17. If you have it, say amen. Amen. It reads as follows. So David arose early in the morning and left the flock with the keeper and took the supplies and went as Jesse had commanded him. And he came to the circle of the camp while the army was going out in battle array, shouting the war cry. Israel and the Philistines drew up in battle array, army against army. Then David left his baggage in the care of the baggage keeper and ran to the battle line and entered in order to greet his brothers. As he was talking with them, behold, the champion, the Philistine from Gath named Goliath, was coming up from the army of the Philistines, and he spoke these same words, and David heard them. When all the men of Israel saw the man, they fled from him and were greatly afraid. The men of Israel said, have you seen this man who is coming up? Surely he is coming up to defy Israel. And it will be that the king will enrich the man who kills him with great riches and will give him his daughter and will make his father's house free in Israel. Then David spoke to the men who were standing by him, saying, what will be done for the man who kills this Philistine and takes away the reproach from Israel? For who is this uncircumcised Philistine that he should taunt the armies of the living God? The people answered him in accord with this word, saying, thus it will be done for the man who kills him. Now Eliab, his oldest brother, heard when he spoke to the man, and Eliab's anger burned against David. And he said, why have you come down? And with whom have you left those few sheep in the wilderness? I know your insolence and the wickedness of your heart, for you have come down in order to see the battle. But David said, what have I done now? Was it not just a question? Then he turned away from him to another and said the same thing, and the people answered the same thing as before. When the words which David spoke were heard, they told them to Saul, and he sent for him. David said to Saul, let no man's heart fail on account of him. Your servant will go and fight this Philistine. These next few verses are what we're going to deal with today. Then Saul said to David, you are not able to go against this Philistine to fight with him, but you are but a youth, while he has been a warrior from his youth. But David said to Saul, your servant was tending his father's sheep when a lion or a bear came and took a lamb from the flock. I went out after him and attacked him and rescued it from his mouth. And when he arose up against me, I seized him by his beard and struck him and killed him. Your servant has killed both the lion and the bear. And this uncircumcised Philistine will be like one of them, since he has taunted the armies of the living God. And David said, the Lord who delivered me from the paw of the lion and from the paw of the bear, he will deliver me from the hand of this Philistine. And Saul said to David, Go, and may the Lord be with you. Ladies and gentlemen, today we're going to speak today on just these few words: preparing for success. Now go high five 3 people and tell them, you better prepare for success. Don't tell somebody, encourage them, let them know. You better prepare for success.
Prepare for success. Prepare for success. Prepare for success.
You need to know on this day, God has already given you the victory over your enemies, over your situations, over your problems, over your obstacles, over your difficulties. All you got to do is receive that victory. And in order to receive that victory, you need to prepare for success. Ladies and gentlemen, we find ourselves in this book known as 1 Samuel. Y'all know that was written by the prophet Samuel. Mostly Samuel, y'all know, was born to a barren woman. He was a young boy who got called 3 times to service by the Lord in a dream, and he eventually becomes a prophet. And in looking at Samuel's life from birth to ordination and from ordination to service, Samuel's life is a reflection of God's authority in the lives of his children. All right. The theme of this book, ladies and gentlemen, deals with the sovereignty of God, because 1 Samuel, actually in 2 Samuel, deals with Israel's transition from a theocracy to a monarchy. Y'all know that a theocracy is a government that's ruled by God, whereas a monarchy is a government ruled by a king. What happened is, God was their king, but Israel saw all these other nations and was like, hey, we want a king just like them. The problem is God wanted Israel to be different from them. Yeah. And so, but they kept begging him and kept asking him. So he said, okay, if you want a king, fine, I'll give you a king. But 1 and 2 Samuel really shows that regardless of the king that's in charge, God is the ultimate king that continues to still be in charge. Right. And so when you look at this book, it really deals with the going from theocracy to monarchy and God still being in charge. Amen. Again, the theme is from theocracy to monarchy, God is still in charge. And when you look at this book, you can really break it into 4 different stories. 4 different stories dealing with different sets of characters within those stories. In 1 Samuel chapters 1 through 7, you deal with God and Samuel. Then when you get to 1 Samuel chapters 8 through 15, you deal with God, Samuel, and Saul. Then when you get to 1 Samuel chapter 16 through 31, you're dealing with God, Samuel, Saul, and David. And then when you get through all of 2 Samuel, you're dealing with just God and David. So where are we? Well, when we're in 1 Samuel chapter 17, we're in the section where the Israelites have just begged for a king. God is obliged. Saul turns out to be an evil king, and this evil king brings evil problems. One of the problems that they end up developing is this bad blood and this tension with the nation of Philistine. And so they're basically facing off right now at this valley called Elah. And basically, this war scene is set up to show that when God controls your life, it ends up being a setup for the rest of your life. All right. And God basically uses David to show us that when God is in control of your life, God will order your steps in such a way to prepare you for success. Amen. Right. So today we're going to deal with just 2 steps of 7 where you can know how to prepare yourself for success. Now we're going to continue in this sermon series that senior pastor started. Now, y'all remember that we said to prepare yourself for success, it takes 7 steps. First, you got to describe it. You got to describe it. Secondly, you got to deal with it. You got to deal with it. Thirdly, you got to decide it. You got to decide it. Fourthly, you got to discover it. You got to discover it. Fifth, you got to depend on it. You got to depend on it. Sixth, you got to develop it. You got to develop it. And 7th, you got to demonstrate it. You got to demonstrate it. Amen. Today, we're going to deal with steps 4 and 5. We're going to talk about discovering it and depending on it. Discovering it and depending on it. So here's the 4th step that we're going to deal with today. You must discover your God-given capabilities that will prepare you for success. Amen. Say that one more time. Amen. You must discover your God-given capabilities that will prepare you for success. Yes, sir. Look at verses 33 through 36. It says, when the words which David spoke were heard, they will, 33. Then Saul said to David, you are not able to go against this Philistine to fight with him, for you are but a youth, while he has been a warrior from his youth. But David said to Saul, your servant was tending his father's sheep when a lion or a bear came and took a lamb from the flock. I went out after him and attacked him and rescued it from his mouth. And when he arose up against me, I seized him by his beard and struck him and killed him. Your servant has killed both the lion and the bear, and this uncircumcised Philistine will be like one of them, since he has taunted the armies of the living God. So basically what happened here, Samuel was showing through David how he discovered his God-given capabilities. Now, when you're going through the process of, learning what your capabilities are, two things usually will pop up. There will be those that doubt your God-given capabilities as you discover your God-given capabilities. Say that one more time. Sometimes you will find those that will doubt your God-given capabilities as you discover your God-given capabilities. Now, how do we know this? Well, think about it this way. Leading up to verse 33, basically everything about both the problem and the people that were around David said that he didn't have what it took in order to defeat Goliath.
That's right.
Say it one more time. Everything about the problem and the people that were surrounding David would tell him that he did not have what it took to defeat Goliath. Because remember, Goliath comes down, he's challenging the armies. All of these armies of all these valiant warriors. They're scared, they're terrified, they don't want to fight this 9'9" giant with 125-pound armor and a 15-pound spear and all this other type stuff. So they're running and hiding, and then he goes to Saul and is like, hey, if they don't want to fight him, I'll fight him. And when you get to verse 33, Saul basically says, no, you can't. David, you're too small and he's too big. David, he's been a warrior from his youth, and you are just a youth. So, in other words, everything about David's circumstances and his critics said that he lacked the capabilities necessary for success. And what you need to realize, ladies and gentlemen, is that every now and then you will have some circumstances and some critics and some cynics that will say that you don't have the God-given capabilities for your success. Some of you have probably dealt with this already. You've had teachers who said that you weren't smart just because you struggled in one subject area. You had parents that said you couldn't be trusted because of some credit mistakes from 10 years ago. You had some friends that said that you weren't cute enough because you couldn't hit the nail salon or go to the store to buy that Gucci purse every week. You had some bosses that called you insubordinate because you were offering new, fresh ideas. You had some parole officers that said that you couldn't make a difference in your community because to the state you were always accountable. You have a family that says you won't amount to anything because your papa was a Rolling Stone and your mama was a runaround suit. You got a society that says that you'll never get ahead because it's holding back anyone who isn't a white Anglo-Saxon Protestant male. Or you have a society that tells you that you can't get ahead because they're giving handouts to everybody that isn't a white Anglo-Saxon Protestant male. So all I'm trying to get you to understand is that regardless of your situation and regardless of your critics, don't you let them discourage your talent and don't you let them dismiss your talent. Because when God is placed inside you, he can certainly bring it out of you. You can get a Lord's praise on that. So first of all, don't allow anybody, neither your circumstances nor your critics, to discourage or dismiss your God-given capability. All right. And then we get into verses 34 to 36. And basically what happens? Look at what David says. And he says, but David said to Saul, your servant was tending the sheep. Lion or a bear came up, took a lamb from the flock, and went after him, attacked him, killed him, rescued him from his mouth. He rose up, grabbed him by his beard, struck him, killed him, etc. Matter of fact, actually, it's kind of funny. When I'm reading this, that just kind of sound like some story that, like, Kevin Hart's uncle would like. That kind of sound like that, real shepherd all day in the field with the flock. Lions on the left side, sheep on the right side. Got him stabbed. Lion rolls up, takes the sheep, runs off, chases him down, grabs his beard. Hit him on the head. Now he's dead. Put my paws on him. You want to go that nut? You want to go that nut? That's how it sounds, in my mind. But basically, look at what's going on here. Look what's going on. What David is really doing is that instead of focusing on what he could not do, he focused on what he could do. Look at what he says. He talks about he was tending his father's sheep. Now, notice that as he lays out this story, everything that David lays out ends up being something that he can utilize to go into battle with Goliath. Look at when he says he was tending his father's sheep. Well, when you go to war, one of the first things you need to know how to do is to be able to carry out an assignment. And clearly, David was carrying out the assignment that his dad gave him in order to tend to his father's sheep. Then he says that a lion or a bear came out and took the lamb. So now you're finding out that David knows how to deal with bad situations. If you're going to go to war, you're going to deal with some bad situations. Then he said, I went and attacked him. So in other words, David was saying that he knew how to face his challenges head on. Then it says that I rescued it from his mouth. Another thing that's important in war, David realized that it's important to be able to help someone other than himself. Come on. When you go to war, you got to be able to protect the man to your right, protect the man to your left. He was going up against Goliath to protect all other armies of Israel. Then he said, and it rose up against him. So now he's learning how to deal with opposition. Then he said, I seized it, I struck it, and I killed it. So in other words, you know, David, this little runt of a shepherd boy, ends up killing a lion and killing a bear, which pretty much lets me know that despite what he was going up against, he knew how to make do with what he had in order to get the task accomplished. So in other words, what David is saying is that everything that he needed to deal with this fight, he learned from dealing with this flock.
Yeah. All right.
Say it again. Everything he needed to learn how to deal with this fight, he learned from dealing with this flock.
Yeah.
So it's a very, very simple concept. He didn't focus on what he can't do. He focused on what he could do. He didn't focus on what he couldn't do. He focused on what he could do. So this is the message to us, ladies and gentlemen. We need to stop focusing on what the world says, that we're not good enough, that we're not right enough, that we can't do this, that we can't do that. Stop focusing on what everybody says that you can't do, and focus on what God says that you can do. Yeah. Because matter of fact, let me put it to you this way. It's very easy. If you want to be successful, focus on that one thing that God has made you good at.
Yeah. That's right.
If you want to be successful, focus on that one thing that God has made you good at. Matter of fact, let me give you a perfect example. And I thought about this illustration because I once had a conversation with Chris, and he was telling me about a business idea. And he was telling me, he was like, man, you know, I think I want to get into like t-shirt making and stuff like that. And when he told me about that story, it reminded me of Bert and John Jacobs. Bert and John Jacobs. These are two brothers out of Boston, Massachusetts. And they own a company called Life is Good Incorporated. Now, the reason why this, you know, popped in my head when I was talking to Chris is because of the following information. What you find out is that Bert and John enjoyed three things. They enjoyed ping pong, they enjoyed surfing, and they enjoyed making t-shirts. They enjoyed ping pong, they enjoyed surfing, and they enjoyed making t-shirts. Problem is, they were only good at one of those three. And the one thing that they were good at was making t-shirts. All right. So all they wanted to do was just make enough t-shirts in order to support their desire to travel and go surfing and keep playing ping pong. Right? That's all they wanted to do. So what you find out is that Bert and John literally only had one capability. They could make t-shirts. But they also realized that they had just one message. All they wanted to do was spread optimism. Yeah. They lived a life that was, you know, footloose and fancy free, and they just wanted to live happy. And what made them happy was just print t-shirts, surfing, and playing ping pong. So they made all of these shirts to spread optimism. You know, they would come up with these cute little pictures on shirts, and you know, it would say, you know, when life gets bad, just hold your horses. Yeah. You know, when the earthquake in Haiti happened, they basically said that, you know, spreading optimism has no borders. You know, and then when times got hard, they reminded you to go to the cross because life is good. So again, they had one capability. They can make t-shirts. They only had one message, and that was to spread optimism. Now, with that being in mind, I want you to look at what happens when these two brothers focused on the one thing and the one message that they were good at. Go to the next slide. In 1989, they started this company with a $200 initial investment in making t-shirts. 5 years later, they only had a total of $78 in their joint bank account. They started with $200. 5 years later, they only got $78. Yeah. They make a slight tweak to their business model. And in 1994, when they came up with that image of Jake, the smiley guy, and came up with these very simple phrases, when they started just doing that one simple thing, in 2 years, they went from $78 in their bank account to generating $250,000 of annual revenue. Yeah. 2 years later, in 1998, that company grew to being $1 million in annual revenue. Wow. And just last year, Forbes magazine did a feature on them, and this company that started off with only $200 in an investment is now generating over $100 million of annual revenue just by printing t-shirts. What's my point, ladies and gentlemen? What they did was they didn't focus on what they could not do. That's right. They focused on what they could do. They focused on their one capability, and they turned that into a crusade. Yeah. And all I'm trying to get you to understand is that God can take your simple capability and turn it into a successful crusade. Yeah. So I'm here to tell you, regardless of what you're good at, just focus on that one thing. And let God develop it in your life. Yeah. If you're good with money, go ahead and be a banker. Yeah. If you're good with advice, go ahead and be a therapist. If you like video games, be a professional gamer. If you like to draw, be a graphic artist. If you're good at cooking, go ahead and be a chef. If you like to build, go ahead and be a contractor. If you're good at doing hair, open up a hair salon. If you like beating people up, become Naomi Campbell. All I'm trying to get you to understand is that whatever God has placed in your life, He can certainly develop it to make you a success. Get a Lord some praise. Come on, man. Nudge your neighbor and say, discover what you're good at. Discover what you're good at. That's all you got to do. If you want to start preparing for success, you must discover what you're good at. Discover your God-given capabilities, and that will start to prepare you for success. Next thing is simply this. Here's step 5. You must depend on God's power, potential, and presence to prepare you for success. We say that again. You must depend on God's power, potential, and presence to prepare you for success. Let's look at verse 37. And it says, and David said, the Lord who delivered me from the paw of the lion and from the paw of the bear, he will deliver me from the hand of this Philistine. And Saul said to David, go, and may the Lord be with you. So here Samuel shows how David depended on God's power, God's potential, and God's presence for his success. The first part you discover in verse 37. Notice that David made a very astute observation from his encounter with the lion and his encounter with the bear. No, he said that the Lord who delivered me from the paw of the lion and the bear. He recognized that on his own strength, the lion would have killed him. He recognized that on his own strength, the bear would have killed him. So he recognized that he could have no victory apart from God's power. In other words, David realized that human action is nothing without divine intervention.
Amen.
Say
Amen.
So, to put that in, us in folk terms, what you need to realize is that your God-given capabilities are nothing apart from God.
That's right. That's right.
Let me say that one more time. Your God-given capabilities are nothing apart from God. Because the truth be told, there's plenty of people in this world that have a lot of ability but have no achievements to show for it.
Right.
There's PhDs that are sleeping under bridges. There's athletes that never make it to the pro level. There's business owners that are going through bankruptcies. There's talented actors that are stuck waiting tables. There's gifted leaders that are currently rotting in prison. There's prolific musicians that are strung out on drugs. So what you need to understand is that regardless of what's going on, what you're dealing with, or what you're trying to achieve, you need to always remember that only God's hand can make you achieve everything that you want to accomplish. You got to remember when you're studying for that PhD, it's God that's keeping you awake when you're 2 o'clock in the morning and you just want to pass out. You got to remember when you're going for that next contract, it's God that's protecting you from injury while you're pursuing a professional athletic career. You got to remember that when you're dealing with these business issues, it's God that's keeping the IRS at bay while you get your finances in order. You got to realize that when you're going for that audition, that it's God that's brought the new one when that last one fell apart. You got to remember that when you were dealing with that legal situation, it's God that got you your reduced sentence, not that knucklehead lawyer that they gave you from the state. You got to realize that when you were dealing with all of these drugs in your neighborhood, it's God that's shielding you from all that so that you can get to your recital practices or whatever you need to get to. So in other words, what you need to realize is that just like God's power kept you at every turn, God's power will provide you victory at every turn. Amen. Give the Lord some praise. Come on. So first, you realize that God's power provided victory in the past. But then he realized that God has the potential to provide victory in the future. Because look at what he said. He said, he will deliver me from the hand of this Philistine. He will deliver me from the hand of this Philistine. So in other words, David took a lesson from his encounter with the lion and his encounter with the bear. And the lesson was simply this. The same God that took care of me in the past is the same God that can take care of me in the future.
All right.
The same God that took care of me in the past is the same God that will take care of me in the future. And so what you need to realize is that with everything that God has done in your life, he has the potential to up the bar and do even more. That's right. The same God that got you through cancer in the past is the same God that will get you to remission in the future. The same God that got you from a failed test in the past is the same God that can get you on the honor roll in the future. The same God that got you through a demotion in the past is the same God that can get you to a promotion in the future. The same God that got you through Section 8 in the past is the same God that can get you to a gated community in the future. The same God that got you through the crash of 2008 is the same one that can get you through the boom of 2014. The same God that got you through molestation when you were a kid is the same one that can build healthy relationships for you as an adult. The same one that got you through when daddy left you high and dry is the same one that can raise you to be a good daddy right now. Listen, and I'm a living witness, ladies and gentlemen, that the same God that got you through a bad breakup in the past is the same one that can give you a wonderful wife in the future. So all I'm trying to get you to understand is that regardless of what happened in your past, God has the potential to provide you with victory in the future. Get it on the word. So not only did God's power provide David with victory in the past, and not only did God have the potential to provide him victory in the future, but then even Saul realized that God's mere presence provided victory even now. All right. Look at what he said. So David said, and Saul said to David, go, and may the Lord be with you. Watch this. David was so convinced of God's sovereignty, he even convinced Saul.
That's right. Amen. That's right.
David's conviction made Saul realize that all David really needed was God on his side. That's all that he needed. And so that's why he said, go, and may the Lord be with you. So what you need to realize, ladies and gentlemen, is that regardless of the situation that you face, all you got to do is seek God's presence in your life. Because wherever he is, that's where the victory is. If you don't believe me, all you got to do is start going through the scripture. You can go to Deuteronomy chapter 20, verse 4, where it says, for the Lord goes with you to fight for you. You can go to Joshua chapter 1, verse 9, where it says, be strong and very courageous, because the Lord is with you wherever you go. You can go over to John chapter 16, verse 33, where it says, in this world you have trouble, but take courage, I've overcome the world. You can hop over to Romans chapter 8, verse 31, where it says, if God be for us, then who can be against us? You can hop over to 1 Corinthians chapter 15, verse 57, where it says, but thanks be unto God who gives us victory through Jesus Christ. And you can hop over to Ephesians chapter 6, verse 10, where it says, be strong in the Lord and in the power of his might. And if that's not enough, let me give you another illustration. Y'all remember young David, who grew up to be King David. King David ended up writing a song to give you an idea of how you can win when you got God's power, God's potential, and God's presence in your life. If I can, just share this with you real quick. You hop over to Psalm chapter 27, and he starts reading and saying, the Lord is my light and my salvation. Who shall I fear? The Lord is the defense of my life. Who shall I dread? When evildoers came upon me to devour my flesh, my enemies and my adversaries, they stumble and they fail. They are hosts and come against me. My heart will not fear. The war rise against me. In spite of this, I shall be confident. See, David understood the power of the Lord. Then he says, one thing I have asked of the Lord, that I shall seek, that I may dwell. Somebody say dwell. That I may dwell. Somebody say dwell. So when you talk about dwelling, that's the presence of the Lord. That I may dwell in the house of the Lord. Oh, the place of my life. To behold the beauty of the Lord and to meditate in his temple. On the day of trouble, he will conceal me in his tabernacle, in the secret place of his tent. He will hide me. He'll lift me up on a rock, and on my head will be lifted up above my enemies around me. I will offer in his tent sacrifices with joy, and I will sing. Yes, I will sing praises to the Lord. He understood the power, he understood the potential, he understood the presence of the Lord. And then he keeps saying, hear, Lord, when I cry with my voice, be gracious to me and answer me. When you say, seek my face. Somebody say, seek. Somebody say, seek. You seeking the presence of the Lord. When you say, seek my face, my heart said to you, your face, oh Lord, I shall seek. Do not hide your face from me. Do not turn your servant away in anger. You've been my help. Do not abandon me, nor forsake me, oh God of my salvation. And just in case you're going through some situation, family may run out on you. People turn their back on you. That's why I love this next section. When he said, for my father and my mother have forsaken me, but the Lord will take me up. Then he keeps going and saying, teach me your way, O Lord, and lead me on the level path because of my foes. Do not deliver me over to the desires of my adversaries, for false witnesses have risen against me, and such breathe out violence. This is when I get excited, because he says, I would have despaired unless I had believed that I would see the goodness of the Lord in the land of the living. Then he gives you a word of encouragement. It's another step in preparation. Wait, I said wait on the Lord. Be strong and let your heart take courage. Yes, wait on the Lord. David knew with God's power, there's victory. When it's potential, there's victory. When it's presence, there's victory. And if this little shepherd boy could learn it when he became a grown man, then surely, the saints of God can learn it too. Stop running from your purpose. Stop running from his plan. Stop running from your talent. Stop running from your potential. Step up to the plate and step out on faith and start preparing for your success. Somebody say yeah. Somebody say yeah. Say yeah. I was fortunate that Dad took the time to change my mentality and to prepare me for my future success. Now, I may not be there yet, but I'm on the way. Amen. And you may not be there yet, but you're on the way. And so I challenge you today, while you're on the way, to remember 2 of the steps to prepare yourself for success. You must discover your God-given capabilities, and you must depend on God's power, His potential, and His presence in your life. And if you do these 2 things, they will undoubtedly prepare you for success. God bless you and keep you is my fervent prayer. And heart peace those being saints. In Christ shall you come.